5 o'clock. Everybody please rise. Councilman Neal will lead us in the invocation, and Director of Operations Mike Grunfeld is going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Maybe you'll please bow your heads. Lord, we pray for those who are ill and recovering from procedures, and we thank you for our wonderful citizens, employees, the mayor, and council, in your name, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Please join me saying the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please have a seat, and I welcome everybody who's here, and I welcome everybody who's online with us. Thank you so much for taking your time to join with us. All right, first item on here is public comments. We have no public comments listed, so there will not be any. Next is adoption of minutes. We have the January 3rd, 2023 meeting minutes and the January 17th, 2023 council work session meeting minutes. I entertain a motion to adopt both of them as written.
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and a second. And no comments. Here are no comments. All who concur say aye. Aye. All opposed, same time. All right. Got that. Let's both pass. Old business. We have no old business. And number 3 here is a point of information. Assistant to Firefighters Grant. Councilman Evans and Chief Jones, please.
Chief Jones, go ahead and tell us what you're going to tell us. I know it's good news.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Tonight, a point of information about the Assistance to Firefighters Grant. The department did apply for this grant. The deadline was a week and a half or so ago, and we applied for a new fire engine in the amount of $750,000. It is a cost match grant. If awarded, the city would only have to pay 5%, which is $35,714. We may be awarded the grant, we may not be awarded the grant, but if you don't ask, you don't ever know. And we may know next month, we may know in a year and a half. Usually it takes about a year before they'll do the announcement. So it's point of information for you tonight that we did apply for this grant and the amount of $750,000. We have been awarded this grant in the past. We've applied for equipment in the past. Usually we've done $25,000, they call mini grants, and we've been awarded a couple of times. So hopefully this time we'll be awarded for a new fire engine.
Excellent.
And one of the main reasons I applied for a fire engine this time is because the age of the apparatus and the grant has to be over 27 years old, and we have a 33-year-old engine that we're trying to replace. So that should get us some points.
So I think that if we receive a $750,000 grant, we'll be $35,000. I think we 5%.
I agree.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you for the initiative.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, item number 4 is point of information. Update on Town Center overlay. Councilman Wright, Director of Economic Development. Right.
Yeah, Shannon, you want to give us a little update here?
Sure.
I know you've been working hard on this for quite a while now.
Yes. We are currently in month 5 of our 6-month moratorium. It is set to expire March 19th. In the time that we have been in the moratorium, I've worked along with a committee as well as members of the Regional Commission to update the previously drafted document and bring it in line with the vision of the 2016 Town Center Master Plan. We've examined the boundaries of the initial overlay map that was presented to all of you in September. We've determined that a more refined focus on a smaller footprint is more in line with the vision to move us forward, at least in the first phases. This will allow many businesses that currently are in existence to remain in place. They can continue to offer their services to our citizens, and it will also allow them the opportunity in the future to be able to sell their existing businesses without limiting the use of the property to any sort of new owner. It will also allow the city the opportunity to encourage growth and development within a more defined area, focusing on previously undeveloped land as well as the area closest to Central Park. We've spent time discussing the types of businesses that we want to draw to the downtown district. We've created an extensive list of permitted, conditional, and even prohibited uses, as well as set design standards for any future development to ensure a cohesive look for the entire district. The goal for Town Center has always been to create an area of mixed-use development that provides opportunities for leisure, business, retail, and living while promoting a pedestrian-friendly environment. So in researching the components of the overlay that we had in existence before we started the project, it's become evident that the city's current zoning regulations are not in line with the vision for the overlay as intended, this mixed-use vision. We do not currently have any type of mixed-use zoning anywhere in the city, so implementing the requirements of the overlay using our current zoning will be nearly impossible. City Attorney Tidings and I have spent a good bit of time in the last few weeks reviewing our current zoning, looking at options for moving forward, looking at some surrounding communities, talking with people that we know, meeting with the Regional Commission as well. Due to some employee turnover issues with the Regional Commission, there was a bit of a delay in us being able to get in with them, but we did finally sit down with them last week. I went over the plan with them, asked for their input, and they agreed that while it may be a little unconventional, it will work for us to focus more on creating a mixed-use district to establish the downtown district and kind of throw the overlay idea out the window. So they did offer their support to us in that. They offered to help us in any way that we need them, but also offered their backing and support of the idea of using new mixed-use zoning designations for the downtown district. This will eliminate the overlay and its specific processes, but the plan is to maintain the components that we have put in place necessary to see Town Center become a reality. So the work that we've been putting into the overlay is going to just transfer into the mixed-use zoning ordinance that will become part of the code for the city. So in conclusion to that, we are planning to ask for an extension of the current moratorium to allow time to create the mixed-use zoning code and to update the city ordinance in accordance with that.
So one comment, one question, Shannon. It sounds like what you're saying is that an update to some portions of our zoning code and also the implementation of some design standards is going to accomplish what we were trying to accomplish with the overlay.
Yes, and it will also be, and I'll mention this.
It's going to accomplish that and more. Maybe
Right.
a better way to say that.
It will also be a proactive measure, so that if a developer comes to us, as the overlay map is now, there's all sorts of different zoning within it. There's commercial, there's residential, there's all sorts of different zoning measures that are in there. So any developer who comes to us would have to go through a rezoning process of some sort anyway to create the vision that we want to see. So in putting this in place and kind of putting that net of the mixed-use zoning over the entire area, we're already doing that work for them. So that takes that step out of a developer having to come to us, go through the 3 to 6 month process of doing a rezoning, doing notification, getting the buy-in, all of those sorts of things. We've done the work on the front end, so it's ready and they can just come in and work the property.
My question is does this limit, and this may be a question for Becky too, does this limit our ability to take advantage of some of the options we have in terms of tax incentive and tax abatement where they're required to be covered within a specific district or within a specific overlay?
Not in any of the research that I've found or any of the talking that I've done with Greg at the Regional Commission or anyone else that we've talked with. I know Becky has talked with some people that are really focused on this sort of work, and that hasn't come up either. There shouldn't really be any difference because we're taking all of the components that we want out of the overlay anyway and putting it into the code. So however we write the code is how it will apply. And then there shouldn't be any differentiation between what we're able to do as far as credits, incentives that we may want to create, anything like that, tax breaks, because we would be implementing those as well. We don't necessarily qualify for a lot of the state tax credits and things like that because of our lack of poverty, which is a good thing. But we're not in a bracket that's going to qualify for opportunity zones or those sorts of things that the state often finances or uses as a tax incentive to bring in business. So whatever we do here should not affect that in any way.
One thing I would add, and Shannon's aware of this, she and I have been working a lot together on this. I consulted a friend of mine, Drew Whalen. He was the city attorney for Sonoy,
And, you know, Sonoy has really developed, and he remains city attorney for Griffin on planning and zoning matters. And he said their experience in both Griffin and Sonoy was that the conflicts between the overlay and the underlying base zoning of a piece of property just constantly created problems for them. And they went back and scrapped the overlays and did specific downtown corridor districts and such as that. And one of the concerns is you don't want somebody, say, Councilman Evans in your neighborhood, if there's a lot that hasn't sold and hasn't had a house built on it, you don't want somebody to come in and be able to request a rezoning to your downtown district. So it will be limited in scope. We can amend the scope of it if we want to, but it will also eliminate the need for a design review board, you know, and just put P&Z and then our development, downtown economic development department, and you on the driver's seat of how things develop in the downtown area.
I think that this is probably the third time in the last 2 weeks I've had a conversation with somebody where we've said, well, one of the issues is that there are parts of our zoning code that are a little behind the times,
Yes.
a little outdated. So I think that, Mayor, I think that unless there's any objection from everybody, I think we can go ahead and ask you and Becky to begin working on an update for us to review and see some areas where we can make some changes to those that would make it a little more streamlined for new developers. And I guess to compare the best practices currently and see where we're at with it. Give us a.
We're going to look at Woodstock. Perry is in the middle of doing something like this as well. So I'm talking to their city attorney when we're talking about this, even over the weekend. And we're going to look at some areas that have successfully done a downtown entertainment district or a downtown corridor such as that. We don't have to reinvent the wheel because the meat of what we're doing, we'd already done an overlay. So
it may be affected a little bit by the current legislative sessions. I believe the governor has a bill that will affect some of these local zoning issues if it gets passed. But I don't know even how much, at least the one for that bill that I saw, it would affect us that much. It seemed like it was more after cities that have much more specific
R1.
No, we'll go through, we won't have to go through planning and zoning meetings and notice and such as that to even create this new district. And that's something Mike, Shannon, and I will be involved in. But of course you all will have notice and the meetings will be public and advertised. So
I just want to say thank you for all the work that you all have put into this, because I know when we started down this road 6 months ago, we had a specific purpose, and we were kind of doing what we knew that we needed to do. But it seems like that as we've gone through this process, we've learned more.
Yes,
And
we've
as
learned a
we've
lot.
learned more, we've learned that there's a better way. There may be a better way to do it.
Right.
So I appreciate those efforts, and I'm looking forward to seeing some results, because it sure seems like that's what we're headed.
yes, sir.
I hope so.
And we talked about extending the moratorium. I don't anticipate it's going to take the entire 180 days, but we didn't want to come back and say we only asked for 60 or 90 days and then have to do it again, because we can certainly terminate it early.
Shannon, can you define mixed use only for our listeners?
Well, we don't really have a definition in place currently, but the idea of mixed use zoning would be, think of a 3-story building. In a mixed use zoning district, you would have mixed uses within that building. And I know that sounds very elementary, but that's exactly what it is. So you may have on the ground floor a commercial business or a restaurant. On the second floor, you may have a medical office. On the third floor, you may have lofts or apartments of some sort, which, taken outside of the context of that mixed use zoning, those are typically multifamily zoning for the apartments or the lofts. You're looking at maybe a C2 commercial zoning for a business, but you could also have a different residential commercial zoning for a different type of business that may also be in that same building. So what it does is allow for the mixed use of those types of businesses and existence of living arrangements, working arrangements, all of that in a cohesive building or a collection of buildings that would create that downtown.
It's a great definition.
And so is this, are the specifics of the mixed use, is that up to us, or is there like a state definition?
No, it's up to us to create, which is what we'll be working to do. I mean, it's pretty much the same. Now we do have some types of businesses, like I was saying with the overlay creation, we were looking at permitted uses, conditional uses, and prohibited uses, because we want to focus the energy for development in a certain direction. And so there are types of businesses that we would not want to allow within that district because they may be disruptive to other types of businesses. They may not fit the footprint.
Or maybe saturated with those businesses
Right,
already. There's
right.
certain businesses, and two of them in particular are like gas stations and vapor stores. You could build three next to one another.
Right.
They will all three do good business.
And so
that's fine for them, but that's not what necessarily we want in this area.
We want to make sure that whatever businesses are brought in are to the highest and best use of the land that we have available, because we are very limited in the space that we have for development. And so we want to be very conscientious that what we are allowing to happen is going to be productive now, but also into the future. And so putting these limitations into place will spell out within the ordinance itself. If you are this type of business, then yes, you are allowed within in this area. If you are this type of business, while we would love to have you anywhere else in town, you're not allowed to be within the downtown district.
Our plan is to, once we get this fleshed out, working with the regional commission, to have, of course, send it to y'all ahead of time, but instead of just sending a document for you to try to slog through and read, maybe have a work session, whether it's at a council work session or a special call meeting, where we just sit down and go through it. You don't have the opportunity to ask questions or say, maybe we tweak this or that. So it will be a working document that you all give us your final opinions on and stuff. And then we would go take that document that had been honed according to what you all thought was appropriate before we go to planning and zoning, and then to planning and zoning. And by the time they come back with a recommendation, it will be a document that you're already versed in and have had input in.
Yes, we definitely want to have roundtable discussions of the sort
Yes.
to allow for input from mayor and council and department heads as well, if that's necessary, to make sure that we're all in the same line of vision for what we're looking to do, and to make sure that we're not maybe missing something or forgetting something, or maybe we think something will work, but then if we get in a room and there's 5 or 6 of us talking, we realize maybe that's not going to work, or maybe that would be working as a conditional use, but maybe we shouldn't just outright allow it as a use without maybe some more information and oversight and that sort of thing.
So, Mayor and Council, you have in your packet a document entitled "A Continuance of an Emergency Ordinance Regarding the Acceptance of Permit and Land Disturbance Applications." This is an extension of the moratorium we already had in place. This will extend another 180 days. Again, as we've already said here, we don't believe we'll need the full 180 days. It's just more practical for us to extend it and rescind it than it is to have to just continually come and do these new ordinances. So I believe we can forego reading it unless somebody just really wants to hear the details of it. And so I would move that we adopt this ordinance as it is written. And yeah, I'll do my entire motion, Mayor.
Okay, a motion, have a second.
Second.
And a second. Anybody have a discussion? You want to take a moment to look at it?
If they haven't changed from the last one.
No, I'm just drawing your attention to the back, or the final paragraph on the first page where his final overlay is not yet complete, so he doesn't have time to request official notices and process the hearings. But what we said is, if you'll look the next to the last sentence, until all the work is done to adopt the town center area map and zoning, or for an additional 180 days beyond March 18th, whichever comes first.
Okay.
And I do want to say that in that 180 days will be the time for P&Z notification to go out, for public input opportunities, for the roundtable discussions like we talked about with both P&Z and mayor and council, all of that
All within
that
yes.
180 days. So that's why we're looking at that longer period of time too, is to have time to meet those requirements per the Georgia Zoning Procedures Law, and then also be able to have plenty of time for input and discussion and just bring a final product to you.
Okay, thank you, Shannon.
You're welcome.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Passes. Thank you so much, Shannon, for all the good work. I appreciate that. provide a definition to everybody. I knew what it was, but it was, I felt like it was something we should put public.
Right.
Definition, just. All right, item number 6 is a 2023 intergovernmental agreement for the City of Centerville election, the House County Board of Elections. Councilman Wright, City Clerk Benfield.
Mayor, this is a re-up of our standard intergovernmental agreement with the Board of Commissioners and the Board of Elections. You all received it for review. I'm going to go ahead and move for adoption authorization to sign this, and then certainly if there's a second, if there's any questions, you can ask them.
Okay, we do this about every 2 years anyhow.
Yeah.
It's fairly standard.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, I have a second then. Anybody have any discussion at all?
There, I reviewed the contract. Krista has asked some of the questions she and I both had for the Board of Elections. The fee structure changes, but it should have changed back in 21, but it's changing now. All the changes are in accordance with state law and with my discussions with the county attorney and Krista from the Board of Elections.
Okay. No further questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, it passes. Thank you very much for that. So, should be fun. Yeah, hope it's not bad, right? All right. Now, item number 7, rate adjustments, water, sewer, sanitation permits, Councilman Byrd, and Director of Operations from
I believe the Director of Operations has something to propose for this.
That's Mr. Mayor, I'd like to ask tonight that you table this matter until our next meeting, first meeting, in March. We've been gathering information and getting some changes that we know we need to make, but we've not gathered everything we need. We're looking at some building permit stuff and hadn't had a chance to get it all together, and we just feel more comfortable if we table it till our next meeting.
Okay, you entertain a motion?
I move that we table item 7 on the rate adjustments for water, sewer, sanitation until the next council meeting, first meeting of March.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, I just want to say thank you to the staff for all their efforts in this particular item, because we want to make sure we get this right.
Yes.
Because this affects our citizens' pocketbook. We want to make sure we get this right so that they're not paying any more than they have to, and they're getting the service that they're paying for. So.
Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That passes. Thank you very much, Mike. And item number 8 is parking lot maintenance, City Hall, Police Department, and Court. Councilman Byrd, the Director of Operations from there.
Go ahead, Director.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, in your packet, Mr. Mayor, you should have two sets of quotes for some maintenance on the 3 parking lots we have here: City Hall, Police Department, and the court. Basically, these quotes are prices including seal coating each parking lot and going back and restriping them all. Without going through all 6 of them individually, they both total one. Professional paving is $19,560. House and asphalt is $19,100 for the 3. I do believe that professional paving has given us a better quote. They're actually want to go in and cut out some bad spots and redo those. So that's probably the reason for a little bit more expensive cost, but we're only talking about a couple $100. Had discussion with Ms. Carroll, our city accountant, and we're going to pay for this out of the 2018 SPLOST, some leftover monies we had in there. So we're just looking tonight for approval of the professional paving to resurface these, recoat and restripe these 3 parking lots.
Okay, entertain a motion.
So, I make a motion that we approve the cost for repaving of the City Hall, Police Department, and Court parking lots as detailed in
just to make sure, it's not repaving, it's to seal coat the parking lots and to restripe
And
them.
restrap.
I'll correct the motion to account for that.
I'll second that
change of
motion, Mayor.
Okay.
So Director, just to make sure we're clear, they're gonna reseal the parking lots,
Yes, sir.
and they're gonna fix the bad spots.
Yes, sir.
And restrap,
And
And then
restripe.
restripe everything.
which will be nice.
Okay,
And that was 19,560 from professional paving, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that all the way around the building? This
All
one?
three, yes, sir.
Where are they talking about cutting, saw cutting, making,
So, and some of the storm drains out here, there's some serious cracking that
Yeah,
goes to it. And they'll cut that out, resurface those, and then seal coat it and restripe them.
a lot of years.
20 years here.
Yep.
Believe it or not. Right then.
I remember going in there and helping pick out the furnace.
Yeah.
Okay. Aye, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Thank you, Mike, appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
We're not accepting their proposals. No, we'll have a contract with them, sign, you're good, just hang on to that.
Okay, and the next thing we got here is, stormwater easement maintenance, Sunshine Way.
Citrus Oaks.
Well,
Subdivision.
yeah, except for Freeland.
Councilman?
I'm sorry.
You want to fill us in, on it?
Go ahead, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Thank you, sir.
It's too busy reading
Mr. Mayor, you should have, two quotes in your package, and I do also have a third quote, a late quote that we have received from Mike's Tree Service, and his quote was for $43,000 even. We got a quote from TMT Utilities for $75,500, and Allen's Tree Service actually quoted us $9,000.
Surely that's a typo.
Now, believe it or not, Mr. Allen is the only one that understood exactly what we wanted and what we needed.
He's good, I've used him at my house,
Yes,
and he's
sir.
located here at Centerville, but
Yeah,
surely
we-
that's a typo. that
We
was
actually met on site with all three
9,075.
contractors, and, Mr. Allen, he's local, he wants to do us a good job at a good price.
Is that the, I don't wanna drive from Fort Valley to Centerville price, is that what that is?
Pretty much,
No, he's gonna bring gold with him.
but, Mr. Allen, we've done a lot of business with him in the past, he does a good job, he does good work. And what this is actually is, we have a lot of drainage easements that run through the different subdivisions in town. And, the trees in these easements have just gotten out of hand, and we're gonna go in and clean all that out in this one particular ditch. And Miss Carol, our accountant, and I have discussed it, and moving on from in the future, we'll have a line item in our stormwater budget to do these things all year long.
We don't wanna do like
On an
California, just
as-needed-
leave it alone, let it burn?
No.
It's fine, we'll cut it down.
On an as-needed basis, during the year, we'll have the money in the budget to do it. And this particular job here, we'll be paying for out of repairs and maintenance, out of stormwater utility.
Excellent.
I like it, Mayor.
I like it too.
Exactly why you
I
have that.
obviously, we're asking for permission tonight to accept from Mr. Allen's quote, $9,000.
I entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the removal of this tree from the Sunshine Way location, using the quote from Allen's Tree Service.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, sir.
Glad to hear that. Thank you particularly for this asphalt. All right, comments from the council, which one?
It's been a while since we met last time, and I think we got a lot done today, so I'm very pleased with that. And I want to give some special kudos to the Scoots folks who have been very busy with water main breaks around the city, at least a couple of my neighborhoods. So and speed repairing of potholes as well. So I just want to give a shout out to guys from Public Works, and that's really all I have.
Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Those two.
I just want to comment briefly on how nice it is that we have days like we had Sunday afternoon. It was beautiful weather Sunday afternoon, and drove by the park on my way back from lunch and just saw it just full wall to wall. Looked like there was a birthday party going on in the pavilion and a parking lot full of kids, and you know, some people that looked like if they had their way, they'd have the splash pad on. It would have been a little cold, but
You're right.
that was just such a great investment in the city. I'm glad we were able to make it. So excited to see how all that area continues to grow. Just be a blessing to everybody in this area. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Those three.
See, Mr. Mayor, being number 3, it seems like, you know, everything's taken by the time you get down here.
Not spot correction.
Not a lot of meat on the bone.
So, but you know, like usual, appreciate all the city employees and all the work that they're doing. The department heads, you know, I can remember times in the city that was really a lot going on. And with the department heads that we have in place now, they've got things under control. And so things run smoothly, and we don't get to hear about it a lot. So we appreciate that. And just keep up the good work.
Okay. Go forward.
So as Post 3 has already stated, that everyone else has stated, because I was actually going to also mention the park because I drove by there also this past weekend. It was packed. There was a lot, so many people out there having a good time. I also wanted to pass the kudos to Public Works for all their hard work, very responsive, and trying to get out there and do everything that they do. Police Department, I appreciate everything y'all do to ensure our public is safe. And I see them out there all day, every day, you know, doing their job, and we, you know, I just hope the word gets down to the lowest person and say, hey, we appreciate what you do and what you sacrifice to be here, and we thank you. And of course, same with the fire department. They do great work, and they're always very responsive, and nothing but positive comments from citizens about their responsiveness and being able to actually save lives all the time. And so, you know, so just happy to be with everybody. You know, everybody's doing a great job, and I still got to get to the courtroom. So I did stop in there the other day, but it was not one of those days. So, but anyways, I appreciate everything, and that's all I have.
Okay. Friday's will be a good court day. Yeah. It's Friday.
Play day's a good day to come. That's the interesting
Well, that's true.
day
Yeah,
to
that's
me.
true.
And you get to see how the trees jumped out in front of the cars and stuff.
Oh,
like that.
absolutely.
All the deer that were saved, I swear.
Uh-huh.
Well, Shannon, I appreciate everything you do. I know you got a great team to call upon. You know, between Becky and Mike and Krista, I mean, just everybody in the city over here. They're very professional people. They have a lot of experience. And they can be there with you. Everything we try to do is team effort, isn't it?
It is.
Team effort.
And more
That's
than
what I
happy-
appreciate about
More
this.
happy to hand it over to you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, that's all I have for this part right here. I guess at this point, item number 10 here, executive session, personnel matters, potential litigation, Councilman Wright.
Mayor, I move that we adjourn to an executive session to discuss some personnel matters and potential litigation.
Okay, I have a motion here, second,
Second.
and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Opposed?
Well, I'm going anyway.
I believe we can be mercifully brief.
Yes, this will be great.
I'm going anyway.
All right,
Great.
thank you, everybody.
Mr. Mayor, can the non-essential people leave, be excused
Let's see who's not essential though.
to the meeting, non-essential to the meeting?
Oh,
All right, now if you'll raise your right hand. Personally appear before the signed attesting officer duly authorized to administer oaths, Mayor John Harley swears, and on a state's following, you presided over a meeting tonight, February 21st, 2023. We had an executive session, which was a closed portion of our meeting, and that was, the subject matter was limited to things, only as allowed by law and as advertised, personal matters, and potential pending litigation. Do you so swear?
That's so square. That's it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, council's over.